Photo.
Questions?
Photo Talib.
What's the ruling on pasteurized milk and milk that is quote unquote fortified with vitamins? Does it take the same ruling as the milk that the Prophet drank?
Question says, what's the ruling on pasteurized milk and quote unquote fortified milk with vitamins? Huh? He said what? Essential vitamins and minerals. Huh? Does it take the same ruling as the milk that the Prophet ﷺ drank? Like, I don't think that Talib is asking about the ruling of drinking it. Is it permissible? But I think he's that the Prophet ﷺ drank. Like, I don't think that Talib is asking about the ruling of drinking it. Is it permissible? But I think he's asking more about the concept of the barakah of the milk. The second, the latter, or the former? Type. With that being said, as we've explained before, not just in Islam, and not just according to the Sunnah culture, but life in general has changed tremendously from how it was 100 years ago, 200 years ago, let alone 500 years ago, 1,000 years ago, over 1,400 years ago, the Prophet lived and died, alayhi salatu wasalam. Things have changed, whether it is the Industrial Revolution. Do you know the Industrial Revolution? That was one of the major strides in the history of humanity. That changed the world. The French Revolution changed the what? The world. Everyone understand this? World War I, the Great War, it changed the world. Things were never the same afterwards. Everyone understand this? Ericsson, right? Bluetooth, right? Internet, all these things, they did what? Changed the world, made things different, all right? So how people ate and how they would drink and how they would live and how they would travel in the time of the Prophet ﷺ were very different. And not just from an Islamic or spiritual aspect, but just the concept of fresh food. Fresh food. There's no such thing as GMO. There's no Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. None of that. Trader Joe's, Whole Foods is the forest. Is the lake, the river. Huh? Everyone understand this? Is what you yourself grow and produce yourself. That's it. There was no going to Macy's to buy a pocketbook or a bag or shoes. You went to the shoemaker. He had leather that was dyed and tanned. He would make it. He would make it handmade, custom for you. And milk as well. The size of the cow, the amount of the cows, the demand for the milk. Things were totally different back then. So from one aspect, milk is milk. It still has benefits in it. It still has fawaid in it, inshallah. But of course, pasteurized, fortified, this type of milk that's been sitting in the refrigerator, that's been cooled, is nothing like the milk that comes directly from the animal. Of course not. The animal that's free ranging, eating grass. It's not like the animal that's fed something or shot with something or injected with something. Everyone understand this? And that applies to everything else in life, all right? Knowledge. Back in the day, you had to go and travel to seek ilm. You had to sacrifice to seek ilm. Today, you're sitting on your sofa. You're on the couch eating popcorn. You can watch a class with your pajamas on and your slippers. The comfort of your own home. It's not the same. It's not the same, okay? Even though knowledge and the concept of getting information will always remain what? The same. This is the ruling on my sofa with the remote eating popcorn, and that's the ruling of me on a camel traveling for 6 days and getting the information. That's always going to remain the same. The general health bit of milk is going to what? Remain the same, but it's not going to be the same. There are going to be different types of illnesses and sicknesses, poison or whatever else we want to get to all of that sticky stuff right now. Just like meat. The Prophet ﷺ told the people to eat meat. The Quran says for people to eat meat. Is that the same meat that the people are eating today? That's in a refrigerator? And the animal is shot up and put on steroids. Is that the same? But at the same time, it still is what? Meat. So it's a yes and a no answer. At the end of the day, this is the last thing I'll say, is that the concept of natural, healthy way of living, organic, things like this. There are many things that are from the Sunnah. Just like Amish people, how they live. I don't know if everyone knows what Amish people are. Those maybe watching, not in the United States. Obviously, they came from Germany, but Dutchland, Denmark, and places like Al-Muhim, the Amish, if you look at how they live, there are many things that they do that are how the Muslims are supposed to live. And with regards to the organic movement, there are many aspects and concepts of organic and fair trade. That's how it's supposed to be. And this is one of the arguments of those who say that Bitcoin is halal. And some of them, they say that Bitcoin is closer to the Sunnah concept of currency. It's closer to the Sunnah concept of trading and bartering, fair deal, instead of central banking system and so on and so forth. So there are many things that we do and we enjoy and partake in on a daily basis that are very, very different than how the Prophet did them, and how the Sahaba did them, and how the people who came after them that weren't Muslims did things. And the greatest example of this is Muslim minorities. These fiqh rulings, these interpretations, these different false twistings and bendings of the Quran and the Sunnah, politics, jihad and all this, it did not exist before the Muslims ran and rushed to the non-Muslim countries and lived under the protection of this king and of that queen. I read an article the other day in the newspaper about Muslims in Denmark and Norway, in different parts of Scandinavia, in which the government is forcing Muslim families to take their children and give them away for months and to become indoctrinated in Danish culture and to learn about Christmas and to learn about this and that, and not for them to be secularized and cut off in their own Muslim ghettos. No, if you want to live in this country, take welfare, take health benefits, live in our free world, go to school, drive a car, own a house, save money, none of the stuff you can do in your own country, you can't just stick to your Arab culture. No, it doesn't work like that. So is it permissible to raise your hand to the flag and to stand up for the standing ovation? Is it permissible for Muslims to work in the army? Is it permissible to do this, so on and so forth? These issues didn't happen what? Back then, because there was no such thing as Muslims living there like that. It was the lands of Islam and the lands of what? Other than Islam. And even the minorities that lived in those countries, they kept their Islamic identity stronger than how it is today. Integration, or whatever word you want to use. So we have to be mindful of this, brothers and sisters. And we've said this before, the fahm as-salaf, the understanding of the pious predecessors. You cannot apply every single issue because the Salaf as-salih did not live as what? Minorities. They had the upper hand. They had the strength. So we have to be mindful of this. And Allah knows best. Tafadhal.
The question from Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, initials OA. How much should or should not a Muslim engage in a non-Islamic political system? Does the ruling differ if it's a Muslim majority country or not, such as Pakistan, where I'm from?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. With regards to politics, then, as one of my teachers said, a siyasa najasa. A siyasa najasa. He says politics is dirt, filth. It's dirty. However, no matter how dirty politics are, it's like plumbing. Every household needs it. Without plumbing, you can't live comfortably in the modern world today. And it's dirty. When your toilet gets clogged up or your sink or something's leaking, you do what? Call a plumber. And a plumber, you stand back and cringe. The thought of going under the toilet and putting your hand there, he does what? Bang. Done, fixed. Write your receipt, $75, $100. It's not the case, I mean? It's a dirty job, but someone has to do it. And to him, he has no shyness. It's my job. Khalas. The same applies to politics. So everyone does not have to be heavily engaged in politics. I wouldn't say that. Just like anything else, everyone doesn't have to be heavily engaged in medicine. Everyone doesn't have to be heavily engaged in ilm. They're different hats that people wear. But everyone should know the basics. Everyone should have a basic understanding of how things are to work. And the Islamic system of politics. You can't just have the Muslims walking around deaf, dumb, and blind. Don't involve yourself with this, brother. Oh, don't speak about this. What is this? And then the hypocrisy is that you tell them, don't get involved in this. You need to know nothing about that, but you have to know about Sheikh Fulan and this one and that one. What's the difference, Akhi? Except for agenda. All right? So I think that just like anything else in life, there is a level and there is a limit. All right? Regardless whether it's Islamic politics, Kufr politics, Taghut politics, Pakistan, wherever you go, it's all the same. There are people that are specialists. There are people that have political science degrees. There are people who have to be politicians, who someone has to do it, and then there are those who don't have to do it. If you like it and you find it interesting, and it's a means of a hobby to you, as long as it's not haram, let's read about it, study it. Tafadhal. As long as it doesn't distract you from Allah's dhikr. Just like anything else. Everyone understand this? So that's the general rule. And Allah knows best. Sallallahu alaihi wa sallam wa barak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina Muhammad.